The emergency sirens screamed through the cold metal corridors of the medical ship Healing Light. Dr. Sarah walked quickly down the hallway, her white coat flowing behind her 6 arms. She was not human. She was from a planet far away, and her people had been doctors for thousands of years. "What happened?" she asked as she reached the docking bay. Captain Tom, a large creature with blue skin and 4 eyes, shook his head sadly. "Bad accident at the mining station on planet K-44. We found one survivor. A human male named David." Sarah had heard about humans before. They were new to space travel. Most alien doctors did not know much about their bodies. She followed the captain to where they were bringing David into the ship. What she saw made her feel sick. David was barely alive. His body was broken in ways that should have killed him already. Burns covered most of his skin. His bones were smashed. The machines that checked for poison showed dangerous levels in his blood. "How is he still breathing?" asked Dr. Kira, another alien doctor with crystal-like skin that sparkled under the lights. Sarah looked at the readings on her medical tablet. Everything was wrong. David's heart was barely beating. His brain showed almost no activity. His organs were shutting down one by one. "Get him to the medical room now," Sarah ordered. In the medical room, the full team of alien doctors worked on David. Dr. Mike, who looked like a giant ant but was very gentle, used his special tools to look inside David's body. His big eyes grew wide with worry. "This is very bad," Mike said in his clicking voice. "His liver is damaged. His kidneys are not working. The poison in his blood is too much." Dr. Kira ran her crystal hands over David's body. Her people could see things that other doctors could not. "The damage goes all the way to his smallest body parts. The building blocks of life are broken." Sarah had been a doctor for over 300 years. She had saved lives from many different planets. But this was different. David's injuries were worse than anything she had ever seen. "We need to try everything," she said. For 6 hours, the team worked. They gave David medicine. They fixed what they could. They used machines to help his heart beat and his lungs breathe. But nothing worked. The other doctors began to look at each other with sad eyes. "Dr. Sarah," Dr. Kira said quietly, "we have done all we can do. His body is too broken." Sarah looked at the machines around David's bed. The numbers were getting worse. She had seen this many times before. When a patient was this hurt, they did not get better. "Maybe we should make him comfortable," Dr. Mike suggested gently. "Let him die without pain." Sarah stared at David's still form. He was young for a human, maybe 30 years old. His face was peaceful even though his body was destroyed. She had read that humans lived on a dangerous planet, but she did not understand what that really meant. "No," she said finally. "We will keep trying. I want to study what happens to his body. Maybe we can learn something that will help other humans." The other doctors looked surprised. Usually, when there was no hope, they would stop the machines and let nature take its path. But Sarah was curious. Humans were still a mystery to the galaxy. "Set up full monitoring," she ordered. "I want to know everything that happens to his body. Every change, every small detail." As the night passed, Sarah sat by David's bed. She watched the machines that showed his heartbeat, his breathing, his brain activity. Everything was getting weaker. "This is what happens when humans die," she thought. "I will document it all." But something strange began to happen. David's heart rate, which had been dropping all day, stopped getting worse. It stayed at the same weak level instead of stopping completely. Sarah checked her machines. They were working correctly. "Odd," she whispered. She called Dr. Kira to look at the readings. "His body should have stopped working by now," Kira said, her crystal skin glowing with confusion. "I know," Sarah replied. "But look at this." She pointed to another screen. "His blood pressure is low, but it is not dropping anymore." Dr. Mike joined them. His ant-like head moved as he studied the numbers. "In my species, when we are this hurt, we die in 2 hours," he said. "David has been like this for 8 hours." Sarah made notes in her medical diary. She had never seen anything like this. David should be dead, but somehow his broken body kept fighting. "Maybe humans are different from what we thought," she said. As the second day began, Sarah noticed something that made her question everything she knew about medicine. David's body was not getting worse. In fact, some of the readings were slightly better. "This is impossible," she said to herself. She ran more tests. The results were the same. David was not dying as fast as he should be. His body was fighting in a way that her medical book said could not happen. Sarah decided to watch David more carefully. She moved a chair next to his bed and began the most important study of her long career. She did not know it yet, but she was about to discover something that would change medicine for the entire galaxy. Outside the medical room, the stars moved slowly past the ship's windows. David lay still, his body broken but refusing to give up, carrying secrets that would soon amaze everyone who learned about them. Dr. Sarah woke up early on the second day. She had not slept well because she kept thinking about David. She walked quickly to the medical room, expecting to find that he had died during the night. But when she looked at the machines, she could not believe what she saw. David was still alive. More than that, his numbers were getting better. "This cannot be right," she said out loud. She checked all her equipment twice. Everything was working correctly. David's heart was beating stronger than yesterday. His blood pressure was higher. The poison levels in his blood were going down. Sarah called Dr. Kira on her communication device. "Kira, please come to the medical room right now. Something very strange is happening." Dr. Kira arrived within minutes, her crystal body sparkling as she moved fast down the hallway. When she saw David's readings, she stopped moving completely. "How is this possible?" Kira asked. "Yesterday, his body was completely broken. Look at these numbers now." Sarah pointed to different screens around David's bed. "His kidneys are starting to work again. The burns on his skin are not as deep as they were yesterday. Even his broken bones are doing something I have never seen before." Dr. Kira used her special crystal powers to look inside David's body. What she found made her glow brighter with surprise. "Sarah, you need to see this. His damaged parts are fixing themselves. The tiny pieces that make up his body are rebuilding." Dr. Mike came running when he heard the excitement. His big eyes looked at all the information. "In my medical training, I learned that when body parts are this damaged, they die and never work again," Mike said. "But David's body parts are coming back to life." Sarah wrote everything down in her notes. She had studied medicine for 300 years, but she had never seen anything like this. "Run every test we have," she told the other doctors. "I want to know exactly what is happening inside David's body." For the next 6 hours, they used every medical tool on the ship. The results were the same every time. David was healing from injuries that should have killed him. "Look at his skin," Dr. Kira said, pointing to David's arms. "Yesterday, the burns went down to his bones. Today, new skin is growing." Sarah looked closer. It was true. Where there had been terrible burns, fresh pink skin was appearing. It was growing so fast that she could almost see it happening. "And his bones," Dr. Mike added. "The breaks are joining back together. My people take months to heal broken bones. David is doing it in hours." But the most amazing thing was happening inside David's body. The poison from the mining accident was disappearing. His body was somehow getting rid of the deadly chemicals. "How can his body fight poison that strong?" Sarah asked. They kept watching all day. Every hour, David got a little bit better. His breathing became easier. His heart beat more strongly. The color of his skin changed from gray to pink. By evening, Sarah was completely confused. Nothing in her medical books explained what she was seeing. "Maybe humans have special medicine inside their bodies," Dr. Kira suggested. "No," Sarah replied. "We checked for that. There are no medicines or machines helping him. This is all natural." Dr. Mike was studying David's blood under a microscope. "Sarah, come look at this. His blood cells are different from yesterday." Sarah looked through the microscope. David's blood cells were working much harder than normal. They were moving faster and doing more work than the blood of any other species she knew. "It is like his whole body is a repair machine," she said. As the third day started, Sarah realized she was watching something that would change everything doctors knew about healing. David's body was doing impossible things, and doing them without any help. She decided to stay awake all night to watch what happened. She sat in her chair next to David's bed and kept detailed notes about every small change. During the night, she saw David's wounds closing up. She watched new skin grow where there had been burns. She saw his broken ribs moving back into the right positions. "This is not just healing," she thought. "This is like his body is rebuilding itself." By morning, David looked completely different. The terrible injuries that had covered his body were mostly gone. Only small scars remained where the worst damage had been. Dr. Kira and Dr. Mike arrived to start their daily checks. When they saw David, they stood very still. "He looks almost healthy," Dr. Kira whispered. "Better than healthy," Dr. Mike corrected. "He looks stronger than most people who were never hurt at all." Sarah showed them all her notes from the night. His body never stopped working, she explained. Even when he was almost dead, his body was fighting to get better. It never gave up. The three doctors looked at each other with wonder. What kind of planet makes people who can do this? Dr. Kira asked. Sarah did not know the answer, but she was starting to understand that humans were very different from every other species in the galaxy. Tomorrow, I think David might wake up, she said. As she spoke those words, David's eyelids moved slightly. The three doctors watched in amazement as the human who should have died 2 days ago began to return to the world of the living. On the fourth day, Dr. Sarah walked into the medical room expecting to see David still sleeping. Instead, she found him sitting up in his bed, looking around with clear, bright eyes. She dropped her medical tablet. It hit the floor with a loud crash. "Oh no," she said, quickly picking it up. "I am sorry. I did not expect you to be awake." David looked at her with a small smile. "Hello there. I guess you are my doctor. Thank you for taking care of me." Sarah could not speak for a moment. Just 4 days ago, David had been dying. His body had been broken beyond repair. Now he was sitting up, talking, and looking healthy. "How do you feel?" she finally asked. David moved his arms and legs carefully. "A bit tired, but not bad. Better than I expected after that explosion." He looked down at his body. "These scars are new though." Sarah stared at the scars. They were thin white lines where terrible wounds had been. Most of David's burns were completely gone. His broken bones had healed perfectly. "David, do you remember what happened to you?" "Sure," he replied. "Mining station blew up. I was in the wrong place when it happened. Got hit pretty hard." He stretched his arms above his head. "How long have I been sleeping?" 4 days, Sarah said, still amazed that he was alive. David nodded. "That sounds about right. My body usually needs a few days to fix itself after something really bad." "Usually?" Sarah asked. "This has happened before?" "Well, not exactly like this," David said with a laugh. "But humans get hurt a lot. We are pretty good at getting better." Dr. Kira and Dr. Mike came running when they heard voices from the medical room. When they saw David sitting up and talking, they stopped at the door with their mouths open. "This is impossible," Dr. Kira whispered. David heard her and turned to look at the crystal doctor. "Hello. You must be part of my medical team too. Thank you for helping me." Dr. Mike walked slowly toward the bed, his ant-like eyes studying David carefully. 4 days ago, you were dying," Mike said. "Your organs had stopped working. Your bones were broken. Your skin was burned. How are you alive?" David thought for a moment. "I guess humans are hard to kill. We come from a tough planet." Sarah sat down in her chair, her 6 arms moving as she tried to understand. "David, we need to ask you some questions. What you did, what your body did, it should not be possible." "What do you mean?" David asked. Dr. Kira stepped forward, her crystal skin glowing softly. "We have been doctors for many years. We have treated patients from dozens of different planets. No one heals like you did. No one." David looked surprised. "Really? Other species do not heal fast." "Fast?" Dr. Mike said, his voice rising. "David, you were almost dead. You had injuries that would kill anyone. Then your body fixed everything in just 4 days." "Oh," David said, finally understanding why the doctors looked so shocked. "I guess Earth people are different." Sarah leaned forward in her chair. "Tell us about Earth. What is it like?" David smiled, but it was not a happy smile. "Earth is not a nice place to live. It tries to kill you every day." "What do you mean?" Dr. Kira asked. "Well, the weather changes all the time. Sometimes it gets so cold that water turns to ice. Sometimes it gets so hot that plants die. Big storms come with no warning. The ground shakes and breaks open. Mountains blow up with fire and poison gas." The 3 doctors listened with growing amazement. David continued. "And that is just the planet itself. There are also diseases everywhere. Tiny things you cannot see that get inside your body and try to kill you. Animals with sharp teeth that hunt you. Even the air and water can make you sick if you are not careful." "How does anyone survive?" Dr. Mike asked. "We learned to be tough," David replied. "The humans who could not heal fast died. The ones who could not fight diseases died. The ones who gave up when things got bad died. Only the strong ones lived long enough to have children." Sarah was writing notes as fast as she could. "So your whole species learned to survive terrible things." "For millions of years," David said. My great-great-great-grandmother lived through an ice age. My grandfather survived a war. My parents lived through a disease that killed millions of people. I learned to fix cars in places where one mistake could kill you. Dr. Kira's crystal body was glowing brighter with excitement. Your bodies learned to fix themselves because your planet forced you to. Exactly, David said. If you get hurt on Earth and cannot heal fast, you die. If you get sick and cannot fight it off, you die. If you give up when things look bad, you die. Dr. Mike was clicking his mandibles, a sign that he was thinking hard. So healing like this is normal for humans? David shrugged. I guess so. I mean, not everyone heals this fast from something this bad. But most humans can recover from things that would surprise you. Sarah looked at her notes, then at David, then at her fellow doctors. David, I think you need to know something. What your body did was not just unusual. It was miraculous. You have changed everything we thought we knew about medicine. David looked confused. All I did was get better. Yes, Sarah said softly. And that might be the most amazing thing anyone has ever done on this ship. Dr. Sarah called for a meeting with all the best doctors in the galaxy. She wanted them to study David and learn about human healing. David agreed to help, even though it meant more tests and questions. Within 2 days, doctors from 12 different planets arrived on the medical ship. They came in small ships and big ships. Some were tall and thin, others were short and wide. All of them wanted to see the human who could heal from anything. Dr. Zara came from a planet where her people lived for 1,000 years. Dr. Ben looked like a walking tree with many branches for arms. Dr. Lisa had purple skin and could see through solid objects with her special eyes. They all gathered around David's bed to study him. Show us your scars, Dr. Zara asked politely. David rolled up his sleeves and showed them the thin white lines on his arms and chest. The doctors looked closely with their different types of eyes and special tools. These marks show where terrible burns used to be, Dr. Ben said, his tree-like voice deep and slow. But the new skin is perfect. How is this possible? David thought about how to explain. On Earth, if you get burned and cannot grow new skin, you die. So our bodies learn to make new skin very fast. Dr. Lisa used her purple eyes to look inside David's body. His bones are stronger now than before they were broken. This makes no sense. Actually, it does, David replied. When human bones break and heal, they grow back stronger. It is how our bodies make sure the same break does not happen again. Dr. Sarah had prepared many questions. She asked David to sit up, lie down, move his arms, and walk around the room. Every movement was perfect. No pain, no weakness. David, can you tell us more about your planet? Dr. Sarah asked. David sat on the edge of his bed and looked at all the different doctors around him. Earth is a planet that does not want life to exist, he began. The temperature changes from very hot to very cold. Big rocks fall from space and hit the ground. Ice covers everything for thousands of years, then melts and floods everything. The doctors listened carefully. There are poisonous plants everywhere, David continued. Animals that can kill you with one bite. Diseases that spread from person to person. Even the sun in our sky gives off rays that can cause cancer. Dr. Zara, who had lived for almost 1,000 years, looked shocked. How did humans survive in such a place? We had to become very good at 2 things, David said. Not dying, and getting better when we almost died. Dr. Ben's branch arms moved as he took notes. Tell us about human bodies. David stood up and pointed to different parts of himself. We have 2 kidneys, but we only need 1 to live. We have extra pieces in our hearts in case part of it stops working. Our livers can grow back if half of it gets damaged. The doctors looked at each other with surprise. Our blood can stop bleeding very fast, David went on. Our bones are heavy and strong. Our skin can grow back from almost nothing. Our brains can work even when parts of them are hurt. Dr. Lisa asked, what about your minds? How do humans think when they are badly hurt? David smiled. We do not give up. Ever. My grandmother used to say that humans are too stupid to know when they should die. Dr. Sarah wrote down everything David said. Can you give us an example? David thought for a moment. My friend Tom once fell off a mountain. He broke both legs, hurt his back, and was alone for 3 days. But he crawled 5 miles to get help. He said giving up never entered his mind. Dr. Ben's wooden face showed confusion. Why would he not just wait for rescue? Because on Earth, rescue might never come, David replied. You have to save yourself. You have to keep trying even when everything seems impossible. Dr. Zara asked about human history. David told them about ice ages that lasted for thousands of years, but humans survived. He told them about diseases that killed millions, but the survivors became stronger. He told them about wars and disasters and natural catastrophes that humans lived through. Every bad thing that happened to us made us tougher, David explained. The weak ones died. The strong ones lived and had children. After millions of years, we became very hard to kill. Dr. Sarah looked at her notes. She had pages and pages of information about human biology and psychology. David, do all humans heal like you do? David shook his head. Not exactly. Some heal faster, some slower. Some are stronger, some weaker. But most humans can recover from things that would kill other species. Dr. Lisa used her special eyes to look at David's blood. His blood cells are different from any I have seen. They work much harder and faster. His muscle tissue repairs itself constantly, Dr. Ben added. Even when it is not damaged. Dr. Zara checked David's brain with her advanced equipment. His mind shows patterns I have never seen. It never stops looking for solutions, even when he is resting. As the day ended, the doctors from 12 planets gathered to discuss what they had learned. Humans are not just another species, Dr. Sarah told the group. They are survival machines. They come from a world so dangerous that only the nearly indestructible could live. David listened from his bed, finally understanding why the doctors had been so amazed by his recovery. I guess we are pretty tough, he said quietly. Dr. Sarah looked at him and smiled. David, you are not just tough. You represent hope for every patient in the galaxy. News about David's amazing recovery spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Every medical school, every hospital, every doctor wanted to learn about human healing. Dr. Sarah's research became the most important medical discovery in 1,000 years. David decided to stay on the medical ship to help other patients. He liked the doctors who had saved his life, and he wanted to give something back. Dr. Sarah gave him a small room next to the medical bay and a blue uniform that showed he was part of the medical team. I am not a real doctor, David told Dr. Sarah on his first day of work. You do not need to be, she replied. You just need to teach us how humans think about healing. The first patient David helped was a young girl from Dr. Kira's crystal planet. Her name was Anna, and she had been hurt in a flying accident. Her crystal body was cracked in many places, and the regular doctors said she would never walk again. Anna's parents had brought her to the medical ship because they heard about the miracle human who helped doctors do impossible things. Dr. Sarah looked at Anna's test results and shook her head sadly. The cracks go too deep. Crystal bodies cannot heal damage like this. David studied Anna's x-rays on the big screen. Then he looked at the sad little girl lying in the medical bed. What would a human do? He asked Dr. Sarah. I do not know, she replied. What would a human do? David sat down next to Anna's bed. A human would not accept that walking is impossible. A human would try everything, even things that seem crazy. Over the next week, David worked with Dr. Sarah and Dr. Kira to create a new treatment plan. Instead of accepting that Anna could not heal, they pushed her crystal body to grow in new ways. They gave her exercises that other doctors said were too hard. They made her try to walk even when it hurt. This is not how we treat crystal injuries, Dr. Kira worried. Maybe that is why crystal injuries do not get better, David replied gently. After 3 weeks, Anna took her first steps. Her parents cried tears of joy. Dr. Kira could not believe what she was seeing. How did you know this would work? She asked David. I did not know, David replied. But humans never stop trying until there is no hope left. And there is always hope left. More patients came to the medical ship. A soldier from Dr. Mike's planet had lost his arm in battle. Regular doctors said he would be disabled forever. David and Dr. Mike worked together to create new exercises and treatments. They pushed the soldier's body to grow stronger around his injury. After 2 months, the soldier could do everything he could do before. You taught us to never accept limits, Dr. Mike told David. I just taught you to think like a human, David replied. Word spread further. Soon, medical ships from across the galaxy were asking for David's help with their most difficult cases. Dr. Sarah created a communication system so David could talk to doctors on other ships and give them advice. A doctor from a distant planet called with a question about a patient who had given up hope. My patient says he wants to die, the doctor explained. His injuries are very bad, but not fatal. How do I make him want to live? David thought about all the humans he had known who faced terrible situations. Tell him a story, David said. Tell him about humans who survived things that were much worse than what he is going through. Tell him that if humans from a death planet can keep fighting, then he can too. Dr. Sarah watched David help patient after patient. She saw him bring hope to families who had lost all hope. She saw him teach doctors to push beyond what they thought was possible. One day, an emergency call came in. A transport ship had crashed on a nearby planet. There were 50 survivors, but they were all badly hurt. The local doctors said most of them would die. We need to go help them, David told Dr. Sarah. The medical ship flew to the crash site. When they arrived, David saw something that made him very sad. The local doctors had separated the survivors into two groups. One group was getting treatment. The other group was just lying on beds with no one helping them. Why are you not treating those patients? David asked the head doctor. They are too hurt, the doctor replied. We cannot waste time on hopeless cases. David walked over to the group of patients who were not getting help. He looked at each one carefully. Dr. Sarah, he called. These patients are hurt, but they are not hopeless. We can save them. The local doctors say it is impossible, Dr. Sarah replied. David looked at her with a serious expression. Dr. Sarah, you have been with me for months now. Have you learned nothing about humans? Dr. Sarah smiled. I have learned that humans do not believe in impossible. David nodded. Exactly. So let us save these people. For the next 2 days, David worked with Dr. Sarah, Dr. Kira, and Dr. Mike to treat all the crash survivors. They used everything they had learned about human-style healing. They pushed treatments further than anyone thought safe. They refused to give up on any patient. When they were finished, 4 to 7 of the 50 survivors were alive and would recover completely. The local doctors stood in amazement. How did you do this? They asked. Dr. Sarah looked at David, then back at the local doctors. We learned to heal like humans, she said. We learned that there is always hope, always a chance, always a way to keep fighting. As their ship flew back to its regular route, David stood looking out at the stars. Thank you, Dr. Sarah said, joining him at the window. For what? David asked. For teaching us that the universe is not as cruel as we thought. For showing us that there is always hope. David smiled. That is what humans do best. We bring hope to hopeless places.